Good afternoon. The subject that we are going to speak will be what the future holds. That will the years be like in 2015? Let's start the review of 15 transformations that the planet Earth will experience by the year 2015 according to science. And the global temperature could rise up to 3 degrees between 1.4 centigrade and 3 centigrade is the estimate of the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change Experts for global temperature in the 2015, taking into account the current rate of greenhouse gas emissions. And there will be more plastic that fish in the oceans. According to a report, it should be the L. MacArthur Foundation. Plastic will consume 20% of our oil production in the next 30 years, with the resulting waste emission. It will be equivalent to emptying 4 tons into the ocean every minute for the year 2015, unless, for of course, we radically change our relationship with place. Marine life will be able to recover, but it depends on humanity's community to mitigate the effects of climate change, and international teams of research from 16 universities and institutions estimates that it is possible that the planet's marine life will fully recover in 30 years, yes, under very specific conditions. The alarming prediction of sea level rise predict a rise of more than 5 millimeters at years by 2050. If the trend continues in the future, many cities and ecosystems will succumb to the base of the oceans food from the melting of the Arctic. The Indian Ocean could develop its own El Niño. Research led by scientists at the University of Texas estimates that global warming is approaching a tipping point that could spark an acid El Nino like weather pattern in the Indian Ocean this century. If it does happen, floods, storms, and droughts are likely to worsen and become more regular, disproportional, affecting population most vulnerable to climate change. Much of plant and animal species will disappear. Uh, Research at the University of Arizona figure that 2 in 10 species of plants and animals on Earth by 2070, but its humans cause greater increases in the temperature. We could lose more than a deer or even half of animal species and vegetables by 2050. We will have already lost a large part of animals and plants.
According to one estimate, total solar irradiation reduced to 0.25% is expected over a 50 years period between 2020 and 2070, reaching its peak in 2050. The cooling effect produced by a large minimum is only a fraction of the increase in the temperature caused by the concentration of carbon dioxide. Therefore, solar minimums will not prevent the Earth from continuing to warm. Renewable sources could meet 8%, 80% of global energy needs by mid-century. This percentage could significantly reduce emissions, which could help mitigate some of the effects. Nu- Nuclear energy by fission, the only one we, uh, we use today, is present here as an early renewables, but the most critical is still point grade disadvantage of fusion, such as nuclear waste. It will be difficult to feed the world's population, that the population growth and the destruction of agricultural ecosystems. We can think that the human population is continually growing, but towards the middle of century it seems that it will stabilize. According to these estimates by the National Organization of the United Nations, the world population in 2100 will move between 50.8 billion people for the highest estimate and 6.2 billion for the lowest. Much more radical still was the production of an specialist Australian Specialist Center, the Breakthrough National Center of Climate Restoration, which predict the end of the human species by 2050 if mitigation measures are not taken for the current climate and ecological crisis. However, this hypothesis does not enjoy much support among the science community. What does seem to definitely disappear are some professions which will become obsolete due to technology progress. In the last 20 years, there have been radical changes in labor material. Therefore, more profound changes are expected to occur during the next 3 decades. Some professions, such as travel agents, transportive, cashiers, telemarketers, or machinists, will be thing of the past.